Even with a healthy diet, I do believe most of us, we lack the proper nutrients if our objective is maximal health, longest lifespan, and greatest performance. Our soil is not as rich anymore, foods are more processed than ever, and also daily stressors have significantly not just increased but changed. So all of these things, not having enough antioxidants in your food or having your daily stressors overextending over your limit of recovery, just takes more of the bandwidth that the body has. And so taking supplements is kind of like one efficient way to provide your body with more of the needed, the key nutrients to support the way the body recovers, aka anti-aging. It's just a more effective way to get the specific nutrient in a more bioavailable form and a higher dose of it. A typical example, you've probably heard anti-aging or experts or nutritionists or biohackers talk about resveratrol, right? Is it good to drink red wine because it's rich in resveratrol? Well, in 5-ounce glass in high-quality wine, you get slightly less than 1 milligram of resveratrol. In order for you to get 500 milligrams, you would need to drink 500 glasses of red wine, which is, why would you do that? The insane amount of alcohol for such a small amount of resveratrol, where you can just take 500 milligrams in one pill. So in a way, yes, food contains nutrients, but sometimes we need more of those nutrients than we can get with diet, and this is where supplements can be a smart idea. I've split my supplements into 4 different categories. This will make it easier for you to understand and categorize them by the purpose they serve and what is the ultimate objective I'm trying to achieve with this stack. Starting with the base, the fundamental supplements, the cognitive or nootropic stack to support brain function, the glucose controlling stack for metabolic function, and lastly, the muscle supplement stack that tends to support anabolism. This doesn't undermine the importance of a healthy diet. Living off of individual nutrients lacks the complexity and interconnection of specific nutrients in food. When you eat an avocado, the blend of healthy fats, fiber, and minerals acts in a more whole or holistic way to feed the body than just taking the supplements together. Food carries a ton of goodness in its complexity, a blend of nutrients that fuel your body. However, once healthy food is taken care of, once we have our veggies, our fruit, healthy fats, quality proteins like meat and eggs, if it's an option, nuts, seeds, and berries, you're off to the races to optimize even further. So the base is comprised of 5 different supplements that are fundamental, important, and supportive. These are sort of the basic supplements you've probably seen your parents take at some point in your life, or you may take them as well, or you have at least heard of them. These are supportive for most humans as they have wide-reaching effects. They support most of the things the body has to do, like create energy and recover faster. Omega-3, or healthy fats, which are essential for modulating brain function, for improving cardiovascular health and supporting heart function, and also known as potent anti-inflammatory. B-complex, this is the set of all different B vitamins which play a crucial role in energy metabolism, particularly metabolizing nutrients such as fats and carbohydrates to create more energy. B vitamins also help regulate homocysteine levels and are essential for neural function and development. Vitamin C, this is, as you know, a potent antioxidant in the body. It helps produce collagen, so it's known to be beneficial for skin and joint health. It also helps support adrenal function and combat fatigue. Then we have vitamin B3, a fat-soluble vitamin which is very important from the anabolic aspect like muscle protein, from the anabolic aspect like supporting muscle protein synthesis. Vitamin D is also crucial for the function of your immune system in fighting disease, and also it supports mental health as in mood and mental well-being. Next, we have electrolytes. These are the mineral salts that help your brain and muscles function. They are essential for cellular hydration, teaching the cell to pull water in. They are essential to create more energy or ATP and also to transmit neural signals, so muscle contractions. Last one is magnesium glycinate. This is one of the supplements that may potentially improve sleep as it sort of enables your musculature to sort of deactivate and rest down. I take the aforementioned supplements from the base category about 5 times weekly, typically on working days to support recovery, energy production, and general function. I skip vitamin D in the summer as I get a lot of sun, and sometimes I tend to skip omega-3s if I have sardines, avocados, or more olive oil that day. Genuinely, I feel much better, readier for action with such a base. I think B-complex electrolytes and vitamin D instantly make the cut for me. Next up is the Nootropic Stack, or the stack to improve brain function. Now, to be frank, this is more of a brain supportive stack rather than a stack to intensely improve your cognition fast. And here's why. If you hydrate well, you sleep well, you don't tend to overuse caffeine, and you provide your brain with the necessary nutrients, it shall function good. Anytime you're trying to synthetically increase brain output to an insane levels, you're trying to get closer to something that's not humanly that natural. In other words, you can use natural nootropics, things like mushrooms and amino acids that can support your brain function, reduce stress and hyperexcitability, and just provide you the nutrients for creating brain energy. Or using synthetic things like Adderall is going to affect cognition very fast and very effectively, improve things like focus, sharpness, memory, alertness. But there is a trade-off with these things. You can't use them consistently, and if you use them irresponsibly, there is a big payoff price, like mood swings, poor focus, and poor brain function later on. So I tend to look at this kind of more natural way to support rather than improve brain function. The basics before we get into all of this is you need to realize that the brain requires both glucose and fats, particularly healthy fats like omega-3, for healthy neural development and function. Once you've got that out of the way, you hydrate good and don't abuse caffeine, you can look into this 3 to 4 things to potentially support brain function even more. Taurine, this is an amino acid that helps control the levels of an excitatory neurotransmitter glutamate in the brain. So in other words, saying your brain, when it's hyper aroused because glutamate levels are high, taurine may help slightly reduce the levels of glutamate and enhance the neuromodulation of different transmitters in the brain that is going to get them at a more alert, mentally clear state, if you will. Taurine is also crucial for neural development, so development of your brain and neural cells. Then we have acetylcholine. You've probably heard of things like alpha-GPC. I think this has a similar effect. Acetylcholine is basically a precursor to acetylcholine. This is an important neurotransmitter that in the brain actually works to support learning, memory, and sort of make cognitive tasks and doing cognitive activities like thinking or analyzing a bit smoother. Having sufficient acetylcholine levels have been associated with better brain performance and lower sort of neural degradation. Then we have L-theanine. This is the thing that, again, reduces hyperarousal and helps you extend your focus, making you more productive, particularly as it's smooth enough to take on the caffeine's boost and then sort of slow it down, which gets the brain to be more sort of calm, alert, and mentally clear. Last one, we have one of my favorite mushrooms, that is lion's mane. A couple of studies have shown lion's mane to be potentially effective for increasing certain brain neurotransmitters like NGF or BDNF, and you don't need to know all the physiology behind it, but there is generally some research that associates lion's mane with improved immune function and sort of increased neuroplasticity, although that is quite debatable, but also to an extent neuroprotection, so lightly protecting the brain from neurodegeneration, potentially things like Alzheimer's and dementia. Since you watched this video, I deem you're interested in the science of optimizing health, longevity, and performance. Got good news for you. We've distilled science into short letters. Now you can get hacks into improving sleep score, mitochondrial function, improving focus, and burning fat faster. Everything one wants. And until we hit 1,000 subscribers, it's free, you can join. We've just upgraded our newsletter, Keys to Vitality. Now you can join more than 500 active readers, getting one key insight to increase energy, improve daily function, and unlock vitality. 4 minutes every Saturday morning. If you're into living a fulfilled, long life filled with meaningful experiences, I believe being vibrant plays a major part in it. So, highly recommend it. Age slower, feel better, and be smarter. Scan this code, links in the description. Most of these supplements have two things in common. They either affect brain's energy metabolism, allowing neurotransmitters to help the brain function smoother, or, better yet, they reduce hyperarousal in the brain, mitigating excess inflammation, brain toxins, and anxiety. Lastly, I want to touch on caffeine, the most used and abused substance for cognition. Caffeine stimulates your brain. It can be great to wake up and boost focus and productivity. However, I'm trying to use it responsibly. 2 rules. Only 200 milligrams of caffeine daily, no later than 2 p.m. Additionally, I cycle caffeine for 5 days on, 2 days off, not to get used to its effects. Getting a bit cold in here. Next up is the stack that helps me improve my glucose stability. If you follow me, you know that one of my main objectives for 2025 is getting my metabolic markers to near perfect/optimal state for maximal longevity. One of the problems though is that I had to increase my caloric count, particularly the carbohydrates I eat, and on some days skip the fasting that I did because I want to grow muscle as well. And the problem with that is the more carbs you eat and the later you eat them, your metabolic markers, it's easier for them to get out of whack. So there are a couple of supplements that I take to assist my glucose stability. But before you even think about this, the primary intervention should probably be diet for most people, because fixing one's diet, particularly reducing the amounts of refined carbohydrates, is going to do a lot for improving glucose stability. So my objective is to lower blood glucose spike after a meal, particularly if I eat a bit later at night, and to improve my HbA1c levels, which are basically telling you the blood sugar average for the past 2 to 3 months. Arguably, taking control of fasting blood glucose and HbA1c is the most important thing one can do to sort of mitigate the path towards metabolic deterioration, which leads to weight gain, obesity, and diabetes. And just a note, I am not actually taking these supplements every day. Those glucose stabilizing supplements may be taken 3 to 5 times a week and heavily depend on the volume of training that I do and how much and how simple carbohydrates I eat. So we have berberine and apple cider vinegar. Usually I'd have this half an hour before a heavy carbohydrate meal if I have to eat later. This is because those have been to an extent shown to reduce glucose spike in the blood after eating a heavier carbohydrate meal, and they have been shown particularly effective for improving metabolic function, but only in people with metabolic dysfunction. they can potentially slow down carbohydrate absorption and digestion, which makes blood sugar elevation, I guess it'd spread it around towards a longer interval instead of having that fast spike and drop in glucose. So berberine apple cider vinegar. Next thing is glutathione. This is actually one of the most powerful antioxidants in the body. And I'm not sure exactly if it modulates glucose uptake or not, but one thing I know that I'm seeing constantly in the research is that it reduces oxidative stress and inflammation, as many antioxidants do. But why it is so important here? Well, the general trend of overeating carbohydrates that leads to weight gain and obesity comes with increased oxidative stress, lower efficiency in energy creation, and increased inflammation. And increasing levels of glutathione, the master antioxidant of the body, can lower this oxidative stress and inflammation to an extent. It may also support pancreas function, and also higher levels of GSH, glutathione, are associated with lower levels of insulin resistance, which tells me I might sense a connection between GSH levels and metabolic function. So typically, with a carbohydrate heavier dinner, one that'd make you sleepy, I tend to add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and about 1000 milligrams of berberine to alleviate the spike in blood glucose that's not the best for my metabolic function. Last bit is muscle supplements. So what supplements do I take to support my anabolism or muscle protein synthesis? So since my objective is to grow muscle, I should take about 1.7 grams per kilogram of body weight. I already do this, but in order to further support my anabolism, because on some days I'm going to fast and on some days I'm going to run into a lot of stressors and I'm going to be overworked, and some days I'm going to travel, I'm just trying to keep this protein level elevated a little bit higher. So the three supplements that I take to support this anabolic window are BCAAs, creatine, and leucine. BCAAs are just branched chain amino acid, which I think contain about 35% of the muscle amino acids you have, and they're quickly depleted and wasted after a heavy workout. So supplementing with those can help replenish those BCAAs and support anabolism. I just see it as an extra protein. Also, I forgot to mention I do take collagen with my coffee, which has about 5 to 7 grams of protein as well, extra amino acid. Next thing is creatine. Creatine is the supplement for brain energy, which also plays a big role in supporting brain function and supporting cognition. So think of creatine phosphate as a source of quick energy in the muscle, which helps replenish phosphate, which is important in creating ATP. This way, we can pull in more water, recycle energy faster, which translates to larger gains in anaerobic metabolism, particularly in highly intense activities like weightlifting. Next thing is leucine. Arguably, if you had to pick one most important amino acid, there's no such a thing, but if you absolutely had to pick one most important amino acid for stimulating anabolic pathways, mTOR, and muscle protein synthesis, it would probably be leucine. So I make sure to take one pill of extra leucine on the days that I have a very hard training, but this is absolutely unnecessary as most protein powders and meat, eggs, and high protein foods will contain it. The staple of a muscle building diet is 1.7 grams of protein per kilogram and a calorie surplus of 200 to 300 calories. Once we have that dialed in, extra supplements like BCAAs and creatine can significantly improve the energy your muscle has, improving performance, making you feel better at the gym. If you got this far, congratulations, you're rare. Now I want to ask you one question. If you could pick one supplement that you take, what is it and what's the main objective behind it? I'm looking for new fresh ideas for the new articles I'm writing in VitalSend, but also searching for things to research. What spikes your interest? What is the main supplement that you would go for and why? I'm interested to hear this from people who are into health and wellness. And if you're watching this video, I deem you're one of those, right?